So when you sew your jacket bodice and sleeves, you will end up with two sets of jackets, one made out of the facing and the lining fabric, and also the sleeves are going to be made out of the lining fabric, right? And the second one will be the jacket shell, which is gonna be two sleeves made out of muslin, and the bodice itself of the jacket that is made out of muslin. What's left is the collar, which is a piece that will be sandwiched in between the two jackets neckline, and it is made out of the under collar, which has the interfacing, and the top collar, which is a little bit bigger so that it covers the under collar. I will show you next how to attach the collar to the neckline of the jacket. So I am working right now to attach the collar to the jacket shell. I have the collar in my hand. The under collar side faces the right side of the back panel, right? And I am aligning the collar with the neckline of the jacket. So the first pin that you're going to put is the center of your collar to the center of your center back neckline. And if you don't have a notch in there, you will fold shoulder seam on shoulder seam, find the middle point on the fold, and then you will snip a tiny notch in there. Then you will align, bring your edges together of the collar at the center of the center back seam of the under collar, and bring it to that center back seam at the neckline and pin them together. All right, and then the next pin will be the high neck point notch to the shoulder, the center of the shoulder seam, and the end of the finished collar will go to the notch where the X point is marked. Okay, so that's your third pin, right? And then you can pin in between. You will notice that there is a difference in size between the neckline and the jacket. You can do a stay stitch at the jacket neckline to prevent stretching, right? You can also manually ease the collar to the neckline. So what you're going to do is you're going to fold the neckline, which is the bigger side, on top of the smaller side, which is the collar, right? And bring all the edges together so that you can distribute the excess along the neckline. And the last part is here. And again, the bigger side is underneath so that you can, that the feed dogs of the machine eases the fabric for you, help you with easing the fabric. Okay. All right, and once you pin your collar, you are going to sew from the notch, the X point notch, all the way to the other X point notch, making sure that your edges are aligned, and you can stretch your fabric between the pins so that you make sure that you don't cause puckering while you're stitching. And the seam allowance for the collar and the neckline is 1/4 inch, so be careful with that. You can stitch at less than 1/4 inch, so when you attach your facing at 1/4 inch, any stitching that happened between the collar and the neckline is hidden within the seam. So again, my seam allowance is a quarter, so instead of I'll kind of be inside the quarter line. This is basically a holding stitch so that the collar is in place. So I'll back stitch maybe a couple of stitches, not more than that. Number 2 stitch, okay. You can also do a basting stitch and then the number 2 stitch when you attach the facing. And then from here I'll proceed to just stitching the 2 pieces together and removing my pins as I go. I am stitching at 3/16 basically, so I can see the quarter-inch guide on my right side, and I'm leaving about the 1/16 of an inch space between the guide line and the edge of my collar. Make sure that your fabric is flat underneath so that you don't cause puckers that are not intended, okay? And again, make sure that the side of the collar that is facing the jacket is the under collar side, okay? So that the top collar is on the top, like it's what's showing on the outside of the garment. So 2 things will help you take care of any puckering is tugging on the fabric while you're sewing and having the neckline side under the foot. So I finished stitching. Okay, and I'll inspect my stitch to see if I caused any pucker that needs to be corrected, and now thank God everything looks fine, and I have attached the collar to the neckline of the jacket. Again, you can see that this is the under collar because there is a seam in the middle, and that's the part that's facing or like that's attached to the right side of the shell of the jacket shell, okay. In the next video I'll show you how to attach the sleeve to the armhole. I will do it for the jacket, but the rest of the sleeves are going to be the same. You have 2 sets of sleeves, so you will attach the muslin ones to the muslin shell and the lining one to the lining facing jacket, okay.